greatest coming whenever my back on the wall. Yeah, talk to me nice, so don't talk to me at all.
Everybody always asks us how we buy our houses so deep. They think that there's some kind of like complicated thing that we do, or like we really hammer the seller down really hard on price. We don't do any of that. When I got called out to this house, I just kind of hung out with the seller for 45 minutes. We walked around the block, we talked about his ex-girlfriend, we talked about deadlifting form, we talked about what kind of CrossFit he does. We talked about all this random bullshit. And then at the end, when we came back to the house, we literally just have like a 15-second discussion on price and then it's over. There's nothing, no complicated nothing about any of this. He just needs to feel like you're a real closer and that you're a genuine human being. When the sellers feel that, they trust us, we go into contract and we buy their house. There is no magic to this. There's no super secret script of salesy things to say to these sellers to get them to sell you their houses for cheap. They were always going to sell you their house for cheap. You just have to close it.
Is that typical?
Every time. Every single time. We never hammer sellers down on price ever. We don't really, our price negotiations maybe last about 15 seconds at the most, and then they're done. We spend 99% of the time just building rapport and having the seller understand that we're serious closers.
Do you have a target price before you go into these discussions?
Yeah, before I go into any seller appointment, I always kind of know exactly what my max offer is. That way I never exceed it. But we obviously try to buy for as far below our max price as possible because, you know, you can make more money that way. But I do know a price every time I'm going into a seller appointment that I'm never going to go over. So if it works out, great. If that price works for a seller, cool. If it doesn't, whatever, no big deal. And that's how we do it.
How do you find that price?
Single family, so all the values are based off of what the neighbors are selling for. I simply assume what this house is going to look like before I even get here. I thought that it would be kind of quaint, charming, cute little house, and that's exactly what it was. And I figured that if that's the case, it's probably about a $675 house. And yeah, that's really all the information I need as I'm going into the seller appointment. I know exactly where my pricing is. And this house is actually kind of tough to value because it's so unique. It's 150 years old, 2 bedrooms, 1 bath, like 1,000 square feet. There were no comps that were kind of exactly like this, so you really had to guess a little bit. But I thought it was a $675 house and ended up selling for $735 because some psychos love the area.
How do you calculate your repair costs?
Well, we were planning on renovating the bathroom and the kitchen in case the as-is sale did not work out. We were lucky enough to have the as-is sale work out, so we didn't need to do the renovation. Had we needed to do that, I don't know, it might have cost us maybe like 10, 15 grand, something like that, but we ended up not needing to do that.
Is there a science behind it? Someone who hasn't done a job before, that always seems to be a scare, is how much money do I have to put into it to get to the price that I want to sell it at?
Yeah, so I mean, I knew purchase price was $515, so I knew I would have to send a $520 wire just to get the house. So I knew I would have to spend $520. Had I needed to do the kitchen and the baths, it would have probably been, I don't know what, like $535 total. And maybe it would have sold for a lot more at $735. I'm actually not sure. That might have been the better play, but whatever. We got these buyers at $735 and figured, hey, make 170 grand or whatever, not doing anything is not that bad. Life could be worse.
How much time all in have you spent at the house?
We contracted it. We closed about 30, 45 days later. Took a day to get the buyer. Then took them about 30 to 40 days to close. So a couple months, 3 months, something like that.
I more mean hands-on. How many hours do you think you spent?
I went here one time. We contracted the seller, and then I never come back here. I think I came back here one time. I don't remember, but not much. It was mostly just that first day that we went out.
How many working hours do you think you spent on the deal?
3. 4.
Shit.
5. Something like that.
Wow.
It was mostly the sifting. So when we market out to these expensive ass houses, like you have to deal with 99 people telling you to fuck off for one person telling you yes. That's the work.
I mean, why did that Spring Lake house go for so much money?
Man, this area, this part of Monmouth County is crazy ass rich white people with money. I guess it's because we're close to the water or something like that, but people will literally kill each other to get into houses over here. It don't matter. This house is from 1880. It doesn't even have a bathroom on the second floor. This is the worst house on the planet. I can't believe somebody paid $735 for this. But if you know that people are willing to do it, you just got to take advantage of it. We're just here to make money. So that's pretty much it.
What kind of soft costs do you have when you buy cash? I mean, at $515, what's your all in?
It's about 50 grand. Realtor commissions, closing costs, cost of money, property taxes, all that bullshit, inspections, seller credits, all that nonsense probably added up to about 50 grand on this deal. So we bought it for $515, $50, you're about $565 all in, and we sold for $735. So I don't know, what is that, like 160, 170 grand, something like that we ended up making, or going to make. So the story of this house is really funny. My brother-in-law was the inspiration for this entire deal. He probably doesn't understand how, but I'm about to tell you. He bought an expensive ass house in not Fairhaven, where the hell he bought it in Spring Lake, New Jersey. And when I saw the address of the house, I went into the price history to check out the deal to see what happened. He bought his house for $1.7 million. But when I looked at the price history, I realized the guy who sold him the house bought it a couple of months before for $900,000. So dude bought it for 900 grand, did nothing to the house at all, and then sold it for 1.7 million to my brother-in-law a couple of months later. And when I saw that, I was like, man, I really want to be that dude. I want to be the guy that sold him this expensive ass fucking house for 1.7 million. Because we're doing flips, we're making 80, 90, 100 grand, whatever. I'm trying to make 800 grand, bro. I don't want to make 80, 90 grand no more. I was like, let's do that. So we started marketing these expensive ass houses in these rich white towns over here. And the seller, calls us out here. And he didn't want any, he wanted an easy sale. He didn't want the realtors, appraisers, home inspectors, shit like that. He knew he was selling it for a discount, but he wanted to sell it his way. So I was like, okay, deal, we'll buy your house. Contracted him for $515, which he was okay with, and but we had to close cash. We usually don't buy houses that are that expensive. If you've seen our houses, we buy them for $100,000, $150,000, something like that. And this one, we needed a $520,000 wire, and it was risky. It was fucking scary. I clicked the button, took the risk, and it looks like the risk is gonna pay off.
So where are we today?
We are in expensive ass Fairhaven, New Jersey today. And we're at a tiny little 2-bedroom house built like in 1880 or something like that we bought for $515,000 cash. We sold it in about 2 hours for $735,000 cash. We did no renovation, and some crazy white people came in and bought this house.
How did you know it was a good deal?
I didn't know it was a good deal. I thought it was a $675 house, and we came here, dude agreed to $515, bought it at $515. I thought we would sell it about $675, and ended up selling it for $735 because people are fucking crazy. It's Fairhaven, New Jersey. It's all romantic and shit and all that.
Did you get multiple offers?
We did. We got multiple offers. We bought it cash. We threw it up on the MLS the same day, and we got multiple offers probably within about 6 hours. And we ended up going about $35,000 over ask for a $735 sale. And they used a mortgage, so it took them like 30 to 45 days. And we're scheduled to close this upcoming week.
Back on the wall, talk to me nice, so don't talk to me at all.